Wanna play?
Here's Johnny!
I need a bigger boat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We have such sights to show you.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Wanna Play. My name is James McKenna, and today we're going to be doing yet another top 10 list. And this top 10 list is actually a very difficult list to compile, because that is the top 10 scariest scenes in all of horror. This was pretty difficult to do because, you know, horror is a genre that centers around its scary scenes. So picking the top 10 scariest scenes of all time is basically like picking the top 10 funniest scenes in comedy history, or like, I don't know, the top 10 coolest scenes in action history. It was tough, but I think I came up with a pretty good list. I mean, some of you may not. There's nothing from Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or Halloween, so some of you might not like this one, but this is, at least for me, this is my opinion on this. This is my opinion on the top 10 scenes that scared me the most while I was watching it in horror. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Coming in at number 10, now this one might be a little bit out of left field because it comes from Fright Night, that's right. A scene from a horror comedy over the scenes from Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that. Yeah, it's from Fright Night, but hey, this is just my personal opinion. This scene actually got to me. It's the scene where Amy becomes a vampire and she kind of transforms into her final form. Like, you have the main character walking up behind her and her head is down facing the camera, and the main character says, "Amy." She looks up and her whole face is just completely deformed, and it looks really creepy. I'm sure the clip is playing over. It is, oh wow, it's a scary visual, I gotta say. And for me, it's scary enough to end up on the top 10 scariest scenes in horror history. Coming in at number 9 comes from the original Nosferatu, and that is Orlock standing in the doorway. This scene is honestly terrifying to me, at least partially due to the fact, probably because I watched this super late at night, maybe at 3 in the morning. I decided to watch this one night. I don't usually stay up late, but sometimes I'll stay up late to get in the mood for a certain movie, and Nosferatu back there was definitely one of them. And when you're watching Nosferatu with all the lights out at 3 in the morning, and you see that scene where he walks up the stairs into the doorway, it is so spine-chilling and just so creepy. You feel like there's somebody in the room with you. It's a scary freaking scene. And it's a scene from 99 years ago. Wow, but geez, it still holds up to this day, and it's number 9 on my list. Coming in at number 8 is going to be the ending to Black Christmas. Basically the entire stretch in the end from when Officer Nash calls up Jess and is like, "The calls are coming from inside the house." And this actually, by the way, predates When a Stranger Calls by 5 years, so technically the calls are coming in from inside the house. That line comes from Black Christmas, but it's from there to basically when Jess slowly walks up the stairs, opens the door, and bang! You get the friggin' reveal of the mangled bodies of her friends, and that is absolutely terrifying. And then she looks in the corner and sees Billy's eye and friggin' slams the door on him. That is actually such a well-made scene of just suspense, and this whole movie was just so suspenseful. The whole movie led up to this very moment, and it delivered. wow, this was actually a super creepy scene, especially when she gets down into the basement. She gets like her hair yanked back, but she fights the guy off, and then Peter, her boyfriend, shows up at the window, so you think it's him, but then it's revealed that it's not him, and Billy is still in the attic. Oh, it is just, what a way to end a movie. What a way to end a movie. It's number 8. Coming in at number 7 is a scene from The Shining. So you all know by now that The Shining is my favorite movie of all time, and there are some very scary scenes in here, but in my opinion, the scariest scene is room 237, because it's the only time a ghost actually really like does something. Like whenever Danny, I don't know, turns the corner, he sees the twins, but there isn't really like, they don't do anything. Like I guess you get the flash of their bodies or whatever, or the guy with like the blood down his head is just like, great party, isn't it? That's all he really does. But room 237 is actually like, she comes out of the bathtub, she approaches Jack, and then you get that bit where Jack and the naked woman are like making out kind of in front of the mirror, and Jack looks into the mirror and he sees all this like kind of like gross, like it's just gross what he sees, and then he looks back and oh wow, it is the state of this woman. Oh my god. And then she approaches Jack and like laughs, like it's and the score in the background as well just elevates the scene so much. It is so freaking scary. It might be a little bit cliche, it might look a little bit goofy, but trust me, when I watched this for the first time, it actually scared me. And literally every time I see this scene, it gives me the chills. It is really scary in my opinion, and I think it's the most terrifying moment from The Shining. Coming in at number 6 is a scene from The Sixth Sense, and that is going to be the scene where Dr. Malcolm and Cole are walking down the hallways of the school, and you only really get the camera on Dr. Malcolm, but then he looks down, and you get the pan down, and Cole's not there. Pans back around, Cole is standing a little bit behind him in the hallway in front of a corridor. So Dr. Malcolm walks back, and he's like, "What's wrong? Why aren't you moving?" And Cole goes, "Shh, don't move. You must be quiet. They can hear us, or they can see us." Bang! Smash cut the hanging bodies at the top of the freaking... It was so... That, like, smash cut right there, it was almost like a jump scare. It was... Oh! It legitimately terrified me. Stuff like that, like even something like the scene from The Omen where, you know, the nanny hangs herself, stuff like that always gets under my skin, like the hanging bodies. And this is just the creepiest example of that, because this is the first time where we actually see a dead body in The Sixth Sense. Like, obviously there's scenes later where Cole sees like the kid with the shotgun blast in the back of his head, but this is the first time that we really see it. Like, he's been talking about it, but this is the first time that we see it, and it's so unbelievably out of nowhere and well done that it absolutely terrifies me still to this day, and it comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is from The Strangers. Now there was a lot of scenes from The Strangers that I could have picked from, because this movie literally from the very beginning to the very end is terrifying. Its sole purpose is to terrify you and build suspense and build, like, literally the entire movie. There's only 8 people, and in reality most of those people are side characters. So like, it doesn't really try and do anything else. It doesn't really try and give the characters an arc. It just tries to scare you the whole time. Like, obviously the characters are characters and they do well with it, but they don't really give them this huge convoluted thing. Like, we don't really know their family or their backstory. We just know that these two are a boyfriend and girlfriend. One of them just got rejected for marriage, and they're just in this house and it's awkward. But the scene that sticks out to me, and probably the most famous scene maybe in both Strangers movies, is the scene where the girl is home alone, the boyfriend's out doing, like, going for a drive, trying to take his mind off of things, and she's home alone the whole time. There's like barely any score, and she's messing with the smoke detector. Smoke detector falls down on the ground. She walks back, she walks somewhere else. She comes back, bang, smoke detector is on the chair, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then she's like, hold on. She goes over to like the kitchen area. She's kind of contemplating life, contemplating denying her boyfriend, and then in the background, it takes a couple minutes for it to happen because this movie really does suspense really well. The male stranger steps into view, and it is, oh, he doesn't do anything. He literally just steps and just stands there. And then we get this nice camera movement, and it cuts back, and he's gone. And it's, oh, it'll get you. It'll get you. And it is one of the scariest scenes ever in horror history. Coming in at number 4 might be a little bit out of nowhere because it comes from Saw. Now, Saw isn't really a franchise that goes for its scares, except for the first one. There are enough scenes in the first Saw that actually creeped me out that I think it belongs on this list. And the scene that sticks out to me the most is the scene where Dr. Lawrence Gordon, the guy in the crap room that was revealed in like part 7 to be in on it the whole time, which makes no sense. But it was his daughter and his wife. They were all home together, and his daughter is in her bedroom. And it's just like, alright, she's going to sleep or something, and then you hear a noise. She's like, wait a minute. And it's like, hold on, what's going on? She gets up, she walks out the door, walks into her mom's room, and just looks at her straight in the face and just goes, there's a man in my room. Oh! Oh! Wow, that's how you do a freaking scene. And then especially when she goes back in, mom checks, there's nothing there. And then like, the dude is like, you get that like slow kind of zoom in into the closet, and the dude is just like there, you can hear him breathing, and then he says something, I forget if he says like, hello, her name, but he says something really freaking creepy enough to earn this spot on this list at number 4. These next 3 are just like, how do people watch these movies? It's how. I did. These are terrifying scenes. And number 3 comes from Deliver Us from Evil. So I put Deliver Us from Evil on my top 10 greatest horror movies from the 2010s decade because honestly, not only does it deserve it, but it's also really, really scary. And I think the scariest scene from that movie is the scene where, just like in Saw, the little girl's in her bed, except instead of there being a man in the room, she's got all these like stuffed animals and dolls with like these huge eyes. I believe it's all stuffed animals, there could be dolls in there though, but they got these huge eyes, and it keeps cutting back to them like staring at her, and that's creepy enough. And then they start moving! They start moving! It is... What? It is so terrifying. It's not like in Child's Play either, where he comes out and he's like cussing and swearing and stuff. They're like moving slightly, but they're moving on their own. The movie's not even about that. It's like a weird exorcism movie thing. But the friggin' stuffed animals, the creepy ones, are moving. It's another one that's just so well done, and it earns its placement on this list. Coming in at number 2 comes from Hereditary. You knew that Hereditary was going to be on this list because it is honestly one of the scariest horror movies ever made, and the scene that sticks out to me the most is when Peter, it's like the night or a couple nights after he's accidentally killed Charlie, and he's just laying in his bed. Charlie's, her thing is like she kind of like clucks with her mouth and tongue, and so she's dead by this point, spoiler alert. But Peter is just like laying in his bed, he's super depressed, he's just like he can't keep his mind off of this. The mom is going insane, she's crying in the other room, and it's like in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you hear Charlie's cluck. Like, she's not there, but you hear her cluck, and so does Peter, and he like springs out of bed, and it's so well done because it's so out of nowhere. Hereditary is almost like The Shining in how it's like the shots are super long. Like some of the shots remind me of the shot of Jack Nicholson staring out the window, where it's like slowly pushing it, like the Kubrick stare basically. A lot of stuff is like that, although it's not necessarily a stare. It's just like this one really long shot on this one thing, and it stays there forever, and then it cuts to the next scene. And this one is like that. It stays on Peter's face for like a minute. You don't really think something's gonna happen. It's just like that. It's just a really nice like art house moment, I guess. And then you hear her cluck, and it's not a jump scare. It's just like, but it's still out of nowhere, and it gets you. It gets under your skin. And Hereditary is just, maybe it could honestly just be because of this scene. Hereditary is a movie that just sticks with you for the next couple of weeks after you watch it, and this scene is just a prime example that it terrified me enough to end up at number 2 on this list. But coming in at number 1 comes from the Amityville Horror. The Amityville Horror I've cited as the scariest movie that I have ever seen, and it absolutely is. Pretty much every scene in this movie is terrifying. There are two that this was really left up to, in my opinion, and it was either the scene where the daughter is like talking to a rocking chair, like an empty rocking chair, and the mom comes in and she's like, "Oh, what are you talking to?" And she's like, "Oh, this is just my friend Jody in the rocking chair." And Jody was the freaking girl who was murdered in that house. I was like, whoa, that is freaking scary. But the one that I went with is, I know it's like a dream, but there's another one that's out of nowhere, like Hereditary. It's not a jump scare, but it's super unexpected and super out of nowhere. And that's the scene where the mom opens the door, walks into the room, and the dad is there like with an axe chopping the kids up into friggin' bits. It is it's probably the scariest reveal ever, and I know that it was just a dream, but the moment that it happens, you think that it's real, and it's so creepy, because this whole movie has just been kind of like a build-up, like, of the dad just slowly going more and more psycho, and like there's a bit where he like throws an axe and it like perfectly goes across the lawn into like a tree, and it just slowly starts to build up. Everybody gets more and more psycho to the point where she opens the door and the dad's literally above the kids with an axe. And I know it was like a dream sequence or something, but it is still the scariest reveal in horror history, in my opinion, and it got me so much. It scares me just thinking about it, because also it's another one that's super realistic too, because it's not like anything supernatural about this one scene. At least it's just a dad chopping up his kids. Ooh, it is a creepy thought, and creepy enough of a thought to earn its spot at number 1 on my list. Thanks for watching my ranking on the top 10 scariest scenes in horror history. Now, this scene was super opinion based. This is just me thinking of the 10 scenes that scared me the absolute most, and these are the 10 that I came up with. Horror doesn't really scare me that much. A lot of it is just kind of cliche and doing things that have already been done, which is kind of why I have such an interest in this stuff, and why I have this whole channel and stuff, because I can watch them and I don't really get scared. But compiling this list, I was like, okay, what are the 10 scariest things that I've ever seen while watching a horror movie? And these are the 10 that came out. Now, there are plenty more. Obviously, Tina's death scene from Nightmare on Elm Street could have been up there. The conversation between Marion and Norman in Psycho was super creepy. And friggin' like everything from Halloween and Child's Play. There are a lot of them. There are plenty more that I can do. Let me know if you want to see a follow-up to this video down below in the comments, and let me know your top 10 scariest scenes, the scenes that scared you the most while watching it in horror. So, thank you for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at James4wannaplay, and you can also subscribe to this channel if you would like to. You don't have to, though. So, thank you for watching. Goodbye, and good night. Bang!